Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing Love's Blind episode 4. So without further ado, let's just jump right in because we got nothing else that we gotta do on these episodes, our Netflix binges. So this one is called The Tables Have Turned. So we're left off right back to the conversation between Leo and Hannah. And she says, this is too much. And he says, please give me an answer. I feel tortured. Is that what she said? I think that's what he said that. Anyway, she's crying. She says, I feel very confused. And he's saying, I'm not sure what to do in my other connection. And you broke it off with him. Why did you bring him back? He's asking her, which I think is a legitimate question to ask prior to her breaking up with you, though. And he's like, is Nick, the best person for you? Is it because, he's the first person to say it to you? Because, she has no mind of her own or something? What the hell? And he says, he probably, knowing us, knowing who kind of people we are, probably offered the validation first, right? It's I'm fighting for you, Hannah. I won't be ignored, okay? And he says, I have another connection and I'm still here. And what the hell? And he doesn't have the same feelings for her the way he does for Hannah. Oh, is that so? And he says, she's amazing, but you, Hannah, you're so different. How? Explain how she's the one that's different. Because I would need to know that if I was Hannah. How am I different? And see what he comes back up with, which will be nothing. And she feels that she's going crazy, which I would feel crazy too. And he says, I do love my other connection. I told her that, and I told you that. Despite that, I would only tell that to, the one. I said I would only tell it to the one, but but here I am. Give me a medal. First of all, you didn't say it to Brittany. You said you were not going to say it to Brittany. Has he said it to Brittany before? I don't think he has. If he has, I don't remember. But I'm just what? And it's if you believe in us, please tell me something. And she says, this is very confusing. Again, it's all kinds of she's saying, crying, saying this is very confusing. I think she just wants to run out that room, which I would have. And I think he says maybe it wasn't meant to be. If I propose, would you agree we are meant to be together? Would you say yes? And her answer back to him is, I don't know. Which I'd be no. Me, I wouldn't even say I don't know. Me, I would have said, no, I told you. I'm in love with somebody else. You're never gonna be him, okay? You're never gonna be Jello. Seriously. It's enough. But he says, are you willing to try to fight for this? And she's not sure. And she says, I can't have this conversation right now. He's like, I understand. I'll stop. Just like that. Just like that. And she's like, I think she said I will talk to him tomorrow, Leo. But she just needs to get some sleep. She needs to sleep on this because this was too much. Anyway. We're going to take a break from the nonsense and let's go to Marissa and Boudin. So she says she would love to read books with the kids as a family, and he's down for that. And they do have a conversation about something. I can't read my handwriting. So we're going to pass on that. Bye. So then we have Tim and Alex. And he gives her a bracelet that was actually from his sister to his sister. And now she has it from his sisters, which I thought was really sweet. And I think he actually says it's from her sisters. He says her sisters who she will never get to meet, but who love her. And they start painting. So I thought that was really cute, a painting date. Maybe have Monica and Steven, and this is proposal day for him. He gets down on a knee and he proposes, and she says, "I love you." And she's like, "I've been waiting to find you, so yes." I thought it was very sweet. Then we have Ramses and Marissa. She's like, "I got questions. Are you handy?" He says, "I think so." She's like, "Adam Sandler or Will Ferrell?" So now I thought this was really funny because we have an episode coming up on Next Day Podcast, which is for our Christmas series, which won't be coming out obviously until December. But we've already recorded it, so I can talk about it. And we had this conversation about um, Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler because Mikkel does not like Will Ferrell at all. Not necessarily saying he's one of my favorites, but it's always going to be Adam Sandler no matter what, hands down, Adam Sandler to death. And we actually had this kind of conversation about Will Ferrell versus Adam Sandler. And I thought it was really funny watching this because I'm like, I've had this exact conversation before. But she says, Will Ferrell's not funny. He's not at all funny. Adam Sandler is the GOAT, okay? Will Ferrell's stupid. And she's like, "Did you watch Elf?" And he said, "Actually, no, I didn't." And she's like, "Okay, we're gonna get married." Which, I love Elf. I always will. But anyway, they don't know how old they are. They actually never wrote down how old the other is. She says, "Thank God, though, you're in your 30s," because she thought he was, like, gonna be, like, 23 or something. And she says, "Do you know your moon sign?" And he says, "Well, I'm a Cancer, Leo. And she's like, "I need to leave the pods. I need to leave the pods. I need to leave the pods." And he's like, "Is that a good thing?" And she's like, "Yes, that is an amazing thing." And it was at this time that I knew, oh fuck, she's choosing Ramses. Which I have nothing against Ramses, but I'm sorry, but you can't base your entire life on astrology. I really do believe that. Like, I'm not saying that it's not fun or you can have certain things kind of complement it, but it shouldn't be the sole thing you do. Like, it shouldn't be the end all be all. And you shouldn't rely on it wholeheartedly. And when I think that's kind of going to be her down. I think it's going to be their downfall because she relies on it so heavily. And it's like, well, that's not reality. Like, it's just not. So, um, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. But I knew at this point that she was picking him. So then we have Bodan and Marissa. And she tells him that I have a stronger connection with Ramses. I do have feelings for you, but it's stronger with him. And she says, "I'm just ready to focus on him." And he says, "No hard feelings." So what do we do from here? Because this is really weird. Like, what do we do? And he's like, "I think we leave." But I'm still going to do the woo. If you remember, if you watch the episode, he kind of does this woo when he leaves the pod. So he's like, "I'm still going to do it." And she's like, "I wouldn't have it any other way." And he goes out and he does it. And he says, "I am really thankful for this experience. And I'm good with going home alone." He has a really good outlook on life. And I like him. Sad to see him go. Then we have Hannah in the quarters. And she's like, "I tried to break up with him and he wouldn't let me." And she tells Brittany what happened. And I'm like, thank God, because like she needs to know. And I hope she moves accordingly. If she doesn't, we'll get to that. So in the quarters, Leo says that she was crying. She couldn't form words. Like, clearly she wants to be with me. Like, God. I think it was like my tone though. Like, I think like it wasn't so much about what I was saying, but it was my tone. Like, yeah, you were desperate as fuck, my guy. Or trying to make it seem like you were anyways, because I don't think you are. And he says he also says, if anyone else noticed while watching this, said I think Brittany's name over Hannah's name, which is like, okay. You can't even keep shit straight. But anyways, then we have that conversation with Hannah and Leo. And he apologizes for how he acted the day before, which, okay, great. And she says, I felt shame. And no one should make you feel that way. You shouldn't feel ashamed for following your heart. But she felt that. And she says, like, I don't cry like that. Like, I felt backed into a corner, which again, no one should make you feel like that, especially a person who claims he wants to be with you. And he says, like, do you forgive me? And she says, I do. And he says, Nick is better for you. He is. That's how I feel about Brittany. Do you? Because you're over here being like, I want you to be my wife, Hannah. So then what? He can't even keep his shit straight. And he's like, please, can you just like go in there and tell Brittany that this breakup was mutual before, and because like I don't want to lose her, because like she is my second choice, and like I just don't want to lose her based on that. Okay, let's break this down. Number 1, he says, please tell Brittany that this was mutual. Sir, you think the women don't realize that this was not a mutual decision at this point? She literally, before going in there, says, I'm breaking up with him. Which of course it can still end up being that mutual way. Like we saw that with Ollie and Catherine. I remember her name now. A quote unquote mutual. So we've seen this before. But it wasn't mutual. You cried like a baby. You realized it was being filmed, right? So we can see that it wasn't mutual. So there's that. There's a problem there. And then secondly, you literally admit to the fact that Brittany is my second choice. Now, whether you're lying or not, I don't know. I don't think you had a first or second. I really don't. I think you had whatever opportunity was there for you. And when Hannah was no longer that option, well, then now Brittany is. So there's not as long as you left here with somebody, you would have been fine. Doesn't matter who that person is or whatever. Doesn't matter. And that's the problem. It should matter who that person is. Like, God, it's just ridiculous. But anyways, so yeah, he says like that to her. He says, I just want to go down on a knee for her. So like, say that you did that, or wait. So sorry. She says, so why did you do that last night? Which is obviously, again, something that everyone would want to know. And he says, like, my heart has always been with her, but that's not what you said the night before. You're literally trying to rewrite the narrative here, and it's not going to work. And he's like, I did tell the producers, like, I wanted to cancel this date with you. Whether he meant that last night or he means that now, I don't know. But I would think in order for it to make sense and for his story to make sense, it would have had to have been the night before she broke up with him, I guess. I don't know. And he says, Nick's a stud. Like, you look down. And she's like, I don't care what he looks like. It's not about that. And she says that, Brittany is great. And, she can make her own choice in this. So I'm not going to get involved in that. And he's like, I know, like, you made the best decision. And she's like, I know I did. I know I made the best decision. Because how in the Lord's Jesus could I have ever picked you, basically, right? So Brittany is in the corridors, kind of just waiting for Hannah to come back because she wants to know what happened. And Hannah walks in and she says, I don't know what the hell happened. Yesterday he went off and today he's like, it's mutual. Like, she's like, I don't understand. And he told me to speak to Brittany about like the fact that this was going to be a mutual thing. And it's like, I'm not going to have that conversation with Brittany. Like, she can have her own thing. And again, Brittany's being told all of this. There are red flags just flying with this guy. And she's still going to make the decision she's going to make. So then we got Tim and Alex. And they exchanged their paintings, which hers was good. His looked like a kid did it, but that's fine. And he's like, I know mine's good. And he also gave her flowers. And he wrote this letter to her. And I'm going to write some of the things he said. But this letter was addressed to her father, thanking him for raising her, that he will treat her with dignity and respect. And he says, I ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. And with that, he's like, can you please stand for me? And he gets down on a knee and he asks, will you marry me? And she says, duh, like, of course. And he's like, I didn't think I would cry though. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, you cry. And he says, I want you to know that I'm wearing, or she says, sorry, she says, I want you to know that I'm wearing your sister's bracelet so that they are here for this. Which I thought was really sweet. So now we got a reveal. Sam is Monica and Steven. And she says, I can get the ick really early, and it has nothing to do with how you look or anything like that. So she's just hoping she doesn't get the ick. And the doors open, and he runs to her, and they embrace. And there are tears, and she says, you're so cute. And he says, I got the ring, and he gives it to her, and he also brought her his shirt off his back so she can sleep in it. And he tells her she is gorgeous, and she gets up and she gives him a little twirl. And then he gets up and he's supposed to give her a twirl, but he's like, ooh. They do him like Jim Carrey in The Grinch when he sticks his butt out, like, ah. It was so funny. And he tells her that you taste good and you have a great smile. So I like them. I like Steven. I hope they work. We'll see. Then we got Ramses and Marissa, and he left a little note for her that she reads. I think he left it for her on the pod. And he says, like, I knew that you would be the one for me. You're the love I desire. And she's like, later after she reads the whole thing, she's like, sounds like a Bridgerton book. He says, like, this was so sweet. My man needs to step it up. But he says that I want to fit you into the spaces of my heartbeat. I love that so much. It's so sweet. And she says, I'm sure you know that I ended it with Bran. She calls him Bodhi, so that was really cute. And he says, like, there are a lot of similarities between us, but I worried, if you were being honest with me about what you wanted, because you say that you want someone who's chill, and I just didn't understand why you were with him, which is like, because I think he equates that to like the military situation as well. But it's like, but she's part of that as well. And she's pretty chill for the most part. And just because someone's like in the military or whatever else doesn't mean they don't want someone who's chill or is someone that is chill. So I don't know. That was kind of a weird comment for him to say, but either way, she says that my biggest fear is you not loving me anymore, because she's been there with relationships with guys who, seem to be into her, like how she looks, but then they just don't stick around. Just the longevity of it. She doesn't have a lot of that. And she said, do you think I might be too much? And he says, well, no, which is an interesting thing because I do think he will think she's too much. She is a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. Be a lot. Fill up the room. It's fine. Be who you are. But I do worry with him because he does seem very chill. He seems very zen, but I don't know how much that's going to work for him, but we'll see. But he says, we have talked about it. And he said that you do talk a lot, but you also need that quiet space as well. So he's not that concerned. So we'll see. Then we got Hannah and Nick. And she tells him, you are everything I desired, or sorry, everything I dreamed of. I can't stop thinking of you. And he says that you are the most beautiful person I never met. And he says, can you stand, please? And she's like, yes, sir. And he loved that too. And he gets down on a knee and he says, I knew I had a best friend for life. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with your beautiful ass. He says, will you marry me? And she says, yes. And he's like, can I make up with the wall right here? And then they open the Love is Wine to toast. and let's cheers to the door cuts. And he's like, can I pour the rest of the champagne on you and then lick it off of you? She's like, Nick, now is not the time. uh, anyway, we got a reveal. We got Alex and Tim. And the door's open and he says, I knew you was fine. I knew it. And he gives her the ring and they sit. He's got freckles that he got from his grandpa and it passed down to his dad. And he says, you have a nose ring. And it's funny, my sister also had a nose ring and actually like upset my dad. He's like, you got the hoop. It's like a statement. And like, he's all about it. And he's like, I'm trying to focus my eyes. And his eyes keep going down to her girls. She's like, eyes up here. He's like, you knew. Like she got boobs, y'all. Like, man's gonna man, I guess. Like, I don't know. But anyway, so he says, my teeth are crooked. She says, so are mine. And he keeps saying this term, ain't nothing but the dog in me, and it pisses her off. She's like, don't you dare. Don't. And he keeps saying it. He's like, ain't nothing but the dog in me. He also said too about her boobs too, ain't nothing but the dog in me. And she hates it. I think it's so funny. He does it to tease her, but it's funny. And he walks her to her side and he says, I'll see you in Mexico and I love you. And she says, let me watch you walk. And he's like, okay. They have chemistry. It's very cute. Now it's time. It's time for the conversation we've all been waiting for. The conversation between Brittany and Leo. So she walks in and immediately says to him, my, oh my, how the tables have turned. They really haven't, though. And he knew this wouldn't be an easy conversation. He's like, I'm so in love with you. And she asks, can I say something? Like, I wrote you something. And it says, I tried to start writing a sweet letter, but like, I scratched it out because you hurt me. Everything that happened after the second date, like, you were the only one. But like, right now, I feel like our connection was tainted by the words you said to someone else. Boom. She's like, it is ruined. And everyone knows what happened with you and Hannah. And I think like everyone thinks like I'm settling or like I'm okay with being your second choice. And like she's like, I'm back with having like that cold, emotionless feeling like come over me again. And like the biggest thing that I was afraid happening, it happened. And he's like, well, I'm still gonna tell you that I love you because I know you like hearing it. And that's where this episode ends. Y'all, when he said, I'm gonna keep continuing to tell you that I love you because you like hearing it. Fuck him. Fuck this shit. What the hell is happening? He's manipulative, love bombing, narcissistic, art dealer, asshole. And it's just, oh my God. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. She could do so much better than this, than him. But anyways, like I said, this is where we end the episode. This is it for episode 4. So again, the next episode you can expect to get is episode 5. So that will be next. So that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, We're on every one of your favorite podcast apps, every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.